Thanks for joining us for City Council Comments. I'm Steve Ericson along with Mayor Jerry Koch. Today we're talking about both the March 5th and the March 19th City Council meetings. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We're officially ushering in spring now. That means we're done snow plowing for the winter?
It's gorgeous out there. Yes, yes. Well, in our street crews who did just this yeoman job keeping the streets clear this year, had to roll right from their plows into the front end loaders to start moving out to clear catch basins because the streets were flooding. Yeah. You know, so it's keeps them busy.
So they successfully did that and got those areas cleaned up, and now they're working on potholes. There's some areas that are pretty rough shape with our winter.
My gosh, we're driving down streets in town going, what happened to this street? It just blew up.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, and Coon Rapids is very aggressive in maintaining their infrastructure, maintaining their streets. So when you see streets that are just blown up, that aren't even on, you know, they're not on the short calendar for replacement, you're going, uh-oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, but with all that, the water we got and it froze, and I mean, it's just not been good for those roads. So hopefully they'll be in better shape here as they kind of get out there and fill those potholes.
Sure enjoying this weather, though.
Yeah, definitely, and it's warm up. Although I saw a snowflake a week from Saturday on my phone today, so I don't know. Well, yes.
You should get a new phone.
I hope it goes away. All right, let's jump into things here. We're going to talk about the March 19th meeting first here. One of the first items there was accepting the 2018 Community Development Annual Report. A lot going on in community development.
I would encourage everyone to go to the Coon Rapids City website, go to the community development page, and look at their report. There's a lot of activity going on in Coon Rapids. 2018, they were still wrapping up a lot of the storm damage from June of 2017, but we've got so much construction going on. So, I think, what was it, $145 million, I think, in that report. That's the biggest year ever for dollar value for construction. And the report is real nice how it lays it all out and explains it, and take a look at it.
Yeah, and hopefully no more storms like that caused that, because there was a lot going on there.
There was a lot going on, but you know what? When it's done, and all of a sudden you have all of these hundreds and hundreds or thousands of homes with their new roofs and their new siding, it's nice for housing stock, you know.
Yeah, certainly freshens it up a bit, and we're also seeing more projects coming in, like we're seeing the apartment development over there by the North Star Station, and more stuff to come down in Port Evergreen and also Port Riverwalk.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this doesn't reflect any of what's going on this year. Yeah, because there's a lot going on in Port Riverwalk.
Yeah, so that'll be on next year's report, I imagine.
I would imagine.
All right. Council considered a resolution awarding a contract for the Lions Coon Creek Park improvements. This is a big project we've been talking about, and this work will soon be getting underway.
It's huge. Lions Coon Creek Park is one of the most popular parks in town for bringing the family. You know, people are always out there. It's a very well-used thing. So when you start to look at replacing things, you're going, oh boy, we just have to get this right. Yeah. And so that every time we would look at what was going to go in there, we would go, oh, is that really enough yet? And we ended up bumping the budget on it a number of times to where we said, okay, let's try not to exceed this amount. And they went out to different vendors, and the proposal came back with just an amazing playground. It's going to have new parking areas. It's just going to be an awesome park, and we're looking forward to it.
All right, so this basically awarded the contract for the project, and then there's also some direct purchases that are involved.
Yeah, well, if you're going to want more details, I'm really going to have to go to that page. We're on number 5.
On number 5 here, yep. And this also awarded the construction administration contract.
Right. Except I'm on the last meeting.
And this work will be going on this summer in the park. So the park will be closed.
Yes.
I know that you can still maybe use the southernmost trail, but most of it will be off limits for the summer.
You know what, this would be a really good year to go out and experience all of the great work that was done on Riverwind Park a few years ago, down over to the new, it'll be opening the Port,
Cricket Lake?
Oh, no, I want to think of, Riverview Park is the one that was done a few years ago. Riverwind Park will be open this year, and the building looks tremendous. And it'll have the pickleball courts and the new playground, and that's looking just awesome. So this would be a really good year if you're a big user of Lions Coon Creek Park. get out and see the rest of the really great parks that Coon Rapids has.
Yeah.
And then give us a year to get Lions Coon Creek Park, and Crooked Lake Park.
Yeah.
It's going to be open again this year, and that's just gorgeous.
Yeah, and those were the two big parks, Riverwind and Riverview and Riverwind,
right?
And Crooked Lake Park were the two big projects that were done last year. This is the last major project this year as part of the park bond, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is the one that we really, like I said, every park, there's been a lot of care gone into it and a lot of work. The Parks Commission has so much work into these projects. But Lions Coon Creek Park was really the one that, boy, there was just so many moving parts, and we just really had to make sure it got done right. So.
All right, so the contract's been awarded. It looks like it was about $325,000 in direct purchases of playground equipment and $162,000 for surfacing materials for the park.
There you go. Yep, and lighting from Connexus Energy, and then Kinghorn for the building remodel. Kinghorn is actually a local guy, and he's the one that did the Riverwind building. Yeah, and just beautiful job.
Yep.
And it's always nice when they're also taxpayers too, so they're a little bit cognizant of, if I put too much money in here, it's going to cost me.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, we purposely put a lot of money because you wanted to make this park, a staple. It's a popular park.
Yep.
All right. On to new business. One of the items there, Council considered the 2019-2020 police officer labor agreement and approved the labor agreement. These usually come to us at the end of the year. I know the fire department was all Public Works. This was the last remaining of the contracts besides, I imagine, the sergeant's unit.
Yep, the sergeant's one apparently has to follow this one because there's things that tie together.
But this is interesting here because they need to basically raise the starting pay because they're having trouble remaining competitive.
Yeah, so and actually I was kind of surprised by that because I've always been told that we have a very competitive pay scale here. Mm-hmm. And then that's why a lot of folks like to get to Coon Rapids as an officer. Mm-hmm. But where we were lacking was our starting wage, and we were losing good candidates to other departments with a better starting wage. Well, that's the last thing you want to hear. You really want people to want to come here and to start here. So that's been remedied now, and we're just looking forward to being competitive in the workforce.
All right, and this is a 2-year agreement, so all labor agreements now are locked in essentially for 2020. So that helps with the going forward with the budgeting process, I imagine.
Sure, I would think so.
Yeah,
I think that's perfect logic.
Like you said, the sergeant's unit would be the last, and they usually do theirs following the police officers union. All right, moving on. Council considered an appeal of a massage therapist license denial.
Yeah, and these are always tough. Yeah. Our city clerk's office does a great job screening these things, handling all these application processes. If they're very rigorous in the defense of Coon Rapids residents. Mm-hmm. You always want to make sure that you're not giving somebody a license to do business that isn't going to be ethical or, So there's certain guidelines they have to look for, and this person that was going for a massage therapist license had some gross misdemeanor issues in 2015, which those caused the clerk's office to reject the license application. They appealed it to the city council, and it's a matter of we've got a little more movement. We can look past that. And this person just really seemed like they did everything. They made some really bad choices, but they were all like in one little period of time. They've paid all their dues. While they were paying their dues, they went to school and they got their degree so that they could do this work. So now they've done everything that they can do to better themselves and to try and create a way to make a living, but then they're not eligible for a license because of what they did 4 years ago. So this is one that's nice to have Councilmember Johnson on there, who's got all the experience as a prosecuting attorney, because he knows how to break down what they've done, what their crimes were, how they've basically paid their dues, and whether they've been through all the process. And so I really appreciate his knowledge on this, and I kind of look to that and so at any rate, She presented her case to us, very well spoken, very, and so we made the decision unanimously to support her, support her appeal. And that's certainly nothing, it's still kudos to the city clerk's office. I mean, they're doing their job, and this is just not meant to say, we're not trying to usurp their authority or anything.
Yeah.
This is just some latitude that we get to make as a council, and this just seemed like somebody that deserved that other chance.
Yeah, and it sounds like all the massage licenses come back on an annual basis for review, and if there's anything that comes up in the meantime, it can be looked at to be revoked.
Yep.
So there is checks and balances
there are checks and balances, and and there's not much margin with these. If anybody is found to be doing business not in what we would consider the way they should be, they'll lose it.
Yeah. Okay. Moving along, council recommended appointments to the Coon Creek Watershed District Board of Managers. There's some openings there, or at least one opening.
Yeah, I thought it was 2.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and Coon Creek Watershed, where the city of Coon Rapids is one of the largest areas of the watershed. Yeah. And what we're struck with is the fact that we don't have any representation of the Coon Creek Watershed. There's a couple from Blaine, and there's Ham Lake and East Bethel and all these areas that are involved, but there's just no representation from here. So if we put forward a recommendation with at least 3 names on them, it's my understanding the county commissioner is the county commission then, who actually does the appointments, is supposed to select one of them. Yeah. So we put forward a slate of 4 that all seem quite qualified, and we'll just see what the county does with it now. But I would hope that they would appoint one of them.
Okay, so it's essentially in their court. You make the recommendation, they ultimately decide.
Right.
Okay. We had an open mic response. This is Phil Rosar was here at the previous meeting to discuss some reconstruction plan for Foley Boulevard and a possible interchange at East River Road and 610.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on right now, and I guess the reason I wanted to talk about this is because then at this meeting, somebody else came to open mic really kind of talking about the same project. Yeah. And they were very concerned because as a resident, they were looking at this map and it showed their house was gone. Their house was covered by one of the new frontage roads as we're trying to get a connection with eastward movement on Highway 610. MnDOT, County Engineering have worked out that the connection should be at East River Road. There's too much elevation difference at Coon Rapids Boulevard. It's also too close to other on-ramps and off-ramps. And the East River Road connection works well because we're reconstructing Foley Boulevard already, and with the bridge, with the bypass over the railroad tracks, there shouldn't be any impedance to travel. So if you're traveling west on 610, say from St. Paul or somewhere, you can get off on East River Road, you can scoot right over Foley Boulevard and get to Coon Rapids Boulevard unimpeded. So it's a really exciting project. But what we haven't done is we haven't gotten down to the open houses on it yet. We haven't gotten down to meeting with the businesses, meeting with the residents, and getting the local input yet. There's been no municipal approval of the project other than, yes, let's go forward with this, and then we'll get to the final designs. Okay. And I'd really like to encourage folks to think back to the Hanson project. When we had the first open houses for the Hanson project, the grade separation, the bridge, there were many neighbors and a couple of businesses that were going, wait a minute, why are we doing it this way? And the county took all of that in and went back and really re-engineered the project and came back with a whole new proposal where the people that were most opposed or most impacted, suddenly the impacts were lessened and everybody went, oh, okay, we're fine here. Yeah. So there were no, what do they call it? There were no unwilling takings in that Hanson project. Every home that the county bought was a willing participant. And that's what we want to come to with this project at East River Road too. So even if you get a hold of a map and it looks like the road's going over the top of your house or something, just know that That's not the final design. Yeah. It's a concept. It's something to get us engineering money so we can do the designs. But there's going to be open houses. There's going to be opportunity to speak, and it's not the final plan yet. Yeah. So and everybody is very amenable to the inputs. So if your home is taken, you are well compensated for it. You get market value plus relocation plus it's a very good buyout for somebody that is willing to sell their home.
Okay. So as far at this point, there's not funding, I imagine, yet figured out, or they're working on funding for these projects?
So all of Foley is already funded.
It is. Okay.
We already gave municipal approval for the original Foley project. Now the new Foley project, they're looking at relining it to line up with a new connection to 610. So the funding is there for that, but the final municipal approval hasn't been given on the new project.
So would the funding be there for the interchange?
No.
Okay, so that's the piece. But the funding is there for because they're talking about building an overpass over the railroad tracks there,
correct.
Right?
Yeah, all of that funding is already in place for Foley, but because it's a redesigned, a realignment of it, we've still got to have more businesses. We've still got to have more meetings with the business owners down there that are impacted.
Okay, so the interchange is still the big question for funding. So I imagine this would be a couple of years out if construction happens.
So yeah, we've got bills in the legislature right now seeking $1.5 million for engineering for that project. Okay. And we're down at the Capitol on Wednesday this week. And the support is great for it. The support is very high because frankly, it's not reasonable for Coon Rapids to be bifurcated by this road and then not have any access to it. Yeah. You can, when we got our westward movement, it was because the road only went west. But then when it was connected all the way through going east, we never got any eastward connections. Yeah. So there's just no way that road would have been put in that way. So I don't know.
Yeah. Although they built some stuff in the South Metro recently with 494 not putting one direction, and the 610 extension, you can't go one way on one of the roads up there either. So
610 extension?
They do build things. Up to Maple Grove, when they extended it, you can keep going on 94.
Oh, they're working on that connection right now.
But apparently you can't, go a different direction, which I didn't realize till recently. So
and they're down there seeking the funding for that right now. That'll actually be done before ours is. Yeah. But what made us nervous was they said this is going to finish it. This is going to complete 610, and it's like whoa, stop! You're not done.
Yeah. Yeah. We need our eastward exit, which we would then have at East River Road if that would come through. All right. So money for that. So wait and see kind of from the legislature. And like you said, there'd be more information coming up if this moves forward. Time for public input, all of that.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I really appreciated the neighbors that came forward this week for the open house or for the open mic. Yeah. Very sincere, very, concerned about their neighborhood, and I completely get it. Yeah. And but we just, and it was kind of the inference was, how come they haven't heard about this from the city? Well, we're not trying to be secretive about it. Right. We're being very actually public, trying to get support for it. But we also aren't ready for the open house yet because we don't have our engineering money and.
All right. And then of course the Northern Lights Express project sounds like it's picking up steam recently with support from Amtrak. Yeah, Amtrak and it's supposed to kind of have one of those stations be at the Foley Park and Ride there.
Yep. Yeah. So it's. So they're talking 4 trips a day, I believe it was, which for Coon Rapids, not only does it give us a station and for the train to Duluth, it also gives us then another way to get to Minneapolis, because you can park at the Park and Ride and you can jump on that train to get to Minneapolis. Yeah. Or Union Station probably is where else that would go.
Yeah. So that whole Foley Boulevard area there could get a lot busier in the future.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
So, and with the realignment of Foley, it allows the expansion of that Park and Ride too. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, we'll wait and see what happens there. All right. Moving along, that was all we had from our March 19th meeting. I want to move back to our first meeting of the month on March 5th. This was a pretty quick agenda. A couple items we wanted to talk about. We had a presentation from the Crooked Lake Area Association.
So the Crooked Lake Area Association, they come in annually and kind of give us an update of what Crooked Lake. And as they described it, so I should back up a step. So Crooked Lake was an impaired waterway. It had I don't know if it was milfoil or what it was, but it was impaired. And the Lake Owner Association, in partnership with Coon Rapids and Andover and the DNR, got really aggressive in their treatments, and they kind of did one big, this is either going to take care of it. If it doesn't, we don't know what else to do. And the big treatment took care of it. And to where now they're going in, they're planting native things so that the invasive things don't come back and grow again. And they described it as the poster child for a win, really, for the, So this was their way to come in and thank us for our support and to let us know that things are going well, and they're excited up there for the opening of Crooked Lake Park.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's all good.
All right. Council considered a contract between the state of Minnesota and the city of Coon Rapids. This is kind of like the work crew program that kind of does projects around the city.
Yeah, so there's I don't know if they call them low-risk offenders or something. There's really nothing better for people than work.
Yeah.
And so these guys, it gives them an opportunity to be out in the community and working, and they do it at a very fair price. It's a very good value for the city of Coon Rapids, and we use them in all kinds of, for weeding and for pickup and just kind of miscellaneous things around town. We used them a couple years ago for our disc golf course. So, yeah, various things.
Yeah, and they help do it at a reasonable cost, projects that need to get done around the city.
Yeah, we had that big stage out at Bunker.
Yeah.
They took that out for us. So,
nice.
Yeah, wherever you need them. So it was renewing that contract.
Okay, something that is done on an annual basis.
I think so.
All right. Council recommended reappointments and declared vacancies on the Charter Commission. This commission is a little bit unique in how the appointments are done.
Well, it is, because we can do recommendations, but all the appointments are done by the 10th Judicial Judge. Makes the actual appointments. And the Charter Commission makes recommendations for any changes to the charter, really. And I'm sure they have other roles. Do you have it in front of you?
I just have Gerald Nelson and Caroline LaCourcier.
Yeah, I think
are leaving the commission, correct?
Yes.
So we have a couple folks that they're looking to appoint.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I count 6 names to reappoint to serve another 4-year term. And their council is also asked to declare 2 vacancies on the Charter Commission. So they have to go through a reappointment process, it looks like, too, every so many years.
Yes. So we made a recommendation to the Chief Judge for the 10th Judicial District that Maurice McKee, Isla Fickner, Milo Hartman, Gerald Splinter, Timothy Farmer, and Elizabeth Denon be reappointed to serve another 4-year term. And then we also declared 2 vacancies. Right.
All right. So those will be filled as soon as possible, I imagine. That is basically everything that we had to talk about on that one. Again, that was a short meeting. I think we were under about a half an hour.
If I would have remembered to start the timer, we have 3 minutes for open mic.
Yeah.
If I would remember to hit that timer, that would have cut that meeting time in half.
That was the longest part. You are right. All right. Before we go, I want to quick mention there is still one winter concert left this year, and we kind of had a change because one of the acts canceled.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened to Bill Conkar. He's an accordion player that he plays down at the Gast House and stuff, and he just lives in Anoka. So apparently he had to cancel. I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
And they went and I think they were trying to find another kind of similar replacement, and they're bringing in old Coon Rapids resident Dick Zaplinski. Dick built his house in Coon Rapids in like 1963 or something.
Okay.
And So right across the street. He was my accordion teacher growing up, and
Nice.
so he's coming in to play the accordion for the April 11th concert series.
All right. And any special guest appearances planned?
Yeah, nothing planned.
All right. We may see you on stage, or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
Again, Thursday, April 11th is that concert at 7 p.m. in the Coon Rapids Civic Center, and you can purchase tickets at the door.
Yeah, it's really fun. I went to an anniversary event where Dick was playing, and he's amazing. He's 83 years old. He'll stand for 4 hours playing his accordion, and he's just very good.
Yeah.
He looks tremendous. So.
All right. Well, check out that concert. One other thing before we go, I know I got mine in the mail. If you got yours in the mail as well, property tax statements from the county. I know are coming out, and I know we're getting lots of questions. This is the time when people get their value for taxes for the next year, and folks can contest those values with the assessor's office.
Yes, if you've received that and you're questioning your values, make sure you talk to our assessing department. They're really good to work with. And then if you still aren't satisfied, I think the appeal process is in April. It's a meeting in April, and I don't remember the date.
Is it on Tuesday? Because I think it's the 23rd, but
That
check
sounds
that
right.
up. I think it's Tuesday, April 23rd. It would be at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. That's where people can, if you can't work with the assessing office before, they can come and appeal there. And it's just kind of part of the formal process, right? They start there, and it could then move on to
the county
Anoka judge if it had to.
Right, and but I really would encourage everyone that if you're questioning your value, to talk to the assessor. They're very good at. I mean, they have to work with real comps. Yeah. So it isn't like voodoo science. It's real science, and they'll figure it out for you. And don't wait until just days before that meeting. If you're questioning it, just call them, get on the books, and get them to look at it.
Yeah, like I said, this is that time of year to contest your value, because I think people get confused with budget by the end of the year in December, and they want to. That's not the time to contest your value.
Right.
Now is the time.
Now is the time.
For taxes payable for next year, 2020.
Correct. Right. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, and frankly, we've seen some real good value increases again with single-family homes. So,
market's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to add? That's all I got.
I can't even imagine what it would be.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, so we're good.
Consider what the meeting's lengths,
we did pretty good. All right, thanks for being here today, Jerry. Thank you at home for watching, and we'll see you back here after our 2 meetings in April.